guys, welcome back. Tony here with Urban Survival Craft. Last week we put out a video titled 3 Big Cues for Situational Awareness. There we discussed the role of the brain's reticular activation system and how we can use it for pattern recognition in a sea of noise, in a sea of sensory input, because it acts as both our filter and as our alarm. And I also gave you the 3 big cues to be looking out for. You're looking out for these cues while you're out and about in public, in those so that you can develop that interpersonal awareness, so that you can sense, so that you can have a sense of when maybe somebody has malicious intent towards you. Okay, once you have those cues that have been triggered and you're paying more attention to that individual, here's where the stuff I'm going to talk about today comes into play. Specifically today, I'm going to be talking about the science of proxemics. Proxemics is a term that was coined by anthropologist Edward T. Hall, where he talks about 4 social distances, and he breaks them down by zone. Okay, so the first one is the intimate zone. That's that distance between you and the other person. That's about 0 to about 1.5 feet. Okay, that's the distance where you might hug, lovers may kiss, but it's also the distance where a bad guy might headbutt you or look to grapple with you. So it's either appropriate or not appropriate, depending. And this is what I want to bring awareness to, right? So second distance that we have is the personal zone. That's from 1.5 feet to about 4 feet. That's that distance where we might shake hands. Or maybe if I don't trust you quite just yet, I might fist bump you. But this is also that distance where fist fights happen, right? So again, it's either appropriate or not appropriate for them to be there. The third distance is the social distance. About 4 to 12 feet. This is the distance that people will socialize at parties. This may be in a business setting. You may be having a meeting or something. Although in both of those examples, you may have started off at the handshake distance, but then you set back so that it's not awkward. Understand that when we're discussing these distances, somebody violating that distance at best may just be socially awkward, but at worst, they're getting an advantage in distance relative to you. Remember, they need to be within arm's distance to be able to affect you. Right? A bad guy may use some type of pretext to violate those distances, to close that distance so that they can hurt you. Okay, this is why we're discussing this. I want you to be acutely aware of when it's appropriate and when it's not appropriate, so that you can already have this in mind and you should already have some pre-planned strategies for how to deal with it. And final distance is public distance, and that's like 12 feet and beyond. And in that public distance is where we can get into conversations about the Sergeant Dennis Tooler's the Tooler drill, the 21-foot rule, and we can just start discussing about the reactionary gap and that type of stuff. And we will be doing separate videos on those subjects very specifically. I'm just kind of going over the subject just to get it out there so that you can start seeing how these things start to interweave. Okay. So we have the 4 distances, 4 zones. Intimate, 0 to 1.5 feet. Personal, 1.5 to 4 feet. Social, 4 to 12 feet. And public, which is 12 feet and beyond. I just mentioned the reactionary gap. Let me talk a little bit about this so you can see where we're going. The reactionary gap is that distance that you want to maintain between you and another person before you move or adjust yourself some way. What do I mean? Well, how close can somebody get to you before they can easily hurt you? Okay, if they start reaching the end of that zone or the beginning of that zone, they're starting to encroach into your personal space where you're not comfortable, you can move away. And you can move away in a number of ways. You can take a step back while you're using some sort of verbal de-escalation, or you're being assertive. Hey, That's close enough. I don't know you. How can I help you? What can I do for you? No, you don't need to come any closer. It's okay. That type of stuff. Or just bolt and get out of there. That's also an option in extreme cases, or maybe not so extreme cases. Maybe you're just being prudent. But you guys get my point. We want to have an intuition about these distances. We also want to have pre-established things. We want to use tactical positioning when possible, right? So let's say the guy is crossing through the public zone, crossing through the social zone. He's about to enter your personal zone. You take a step back and it's like, hey. I don't know you. Don't come any closer. What can I do for you? How can I help you? And he continues to move towards you. At this point, maybe you start moving at an angle. Maybe you get something between the two of you. You know, using some type of cover is always an option, or not always, but could be an option. This is the type of thinking that I want to lead you to with this discussion of proxemics. So in closing, proxemics is the understanding of 4 zones of social distances. Intimate zone, 0 to 1.5 feet. Personal zone, 1.5 to 4 feet. Social zone, 4 to 12 feet. And public zone is 12 and beyond. In future videos, we'll go more into detail on how to use these in practical scenarios. And we'll also go a little bit further in the discussion of the reactionary gap. For today, I just wanted to introduce the subjects. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop them below. If you like what we're doing, please give us a thumbs up, the like. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and do so now. That way you can stay abreast of this stuff. But certainly give me your feedback, guys. Your feedback is invaluable. It helps us curate the channel. It keeps the algorithm motivated, and it does all types of good things for us. And I truly, truly appreciate it very much. So guys, until next time, take care.